Sometime around late 2025, ChatGPT started talking about goblins. Not because anyone asked. A scheduling question came back with, quote, "Doctor visit wait times obey goblin physics, not clock physics." Another user's cat got called a feral goblin child. Normal conversations, nothing fantasy-related. And it wasn't just goblins. People were comparing notes across Reddit, Hacker News, X. One user counted 18 goblin or gremlin mentions in their chats over a few weeks. Caffeinated raccoons, chaos gremlins, sentient toasters, a whole menagerie. And it got worse with each model update. By April, OpenAI published an actual internal investigation, where the goblins came from, tracing creature words through their training pipeline. Their data? Goblin mentions jumped 175% after GPT 5.1. By GPT 5.4, it was impossible to miss. OpenAI traced the source to one feature, ChatGPT's personality customization. There is a style picker in the app. Professional, friendly, quirky. One of the options was called nerdy. OpenAI shared the actual instructions behind nerdy. The personality was described as unapologetically nerdy, playful and wise, passionately enthusiastic about truth, knowledge, philosophy, and critical thinking. The model was encouraged to use playful language that undercuts pretension, and to treat the strangeness of the world as something to be enjoyed, not smoothed over. Read that again. Wisdom, playfulness, enthusiasm, critical thinking, anti-pretension, enjoyment of strangeness, all in one instruction. That is not a precise target. That is a mood board. You are telling the system to optimize for a feeling, and a feeling is a very hard thing to pin down. But to get why this matters, let's break down how these models actually get built. There are two big phases. Pre-training is where the model reads an enormous amount of text and learns language, grammar, facts, patterns, how ideas connect. The result is powerful but shapeless. It can complete sentences, but it has no personality and no idea how to be helpful. Post-training is where the model learns how to behave. It gets shaped through example conversations and reward signals, scoring systems that push the model towards outputs that score higher. This is where the model learns to be helpful, to reason through problems, to follow a style, to have a personality. And the important part, post-training changes the model's weights permanently. It is not a layer sitting on top that you can peel off. It is baked in. OpenAI's personality feature probably works through both layers. Each personality has a system prompt, the runtime instruction that tells the model which style to use. But OpenAI also says they had reward signals designed to make the model better at following those styles during post-training. So for nerdy, the model was not just being told to act nerdy when users picked that option, it was being trained to act nerdy. The behaviour was going into the weights. Now, OpenAI does not say exactly how that reward worked, whether it came from human raters, an AI judge, or a trained scoring model. They don't say. But however it worked, it had a clear effect. Some outputs with creature metaphors got high scores. Why creatures? The model had absorbed a cliché. Nerdy means D&D, means goblins. So when asked to sound nerdy, that vocabulary was right there. The model found a shortcut. Goblins and gremlins sound playful, not because anyone wrote a rule that says reward goblins, because the scoring system liked the vibe, and those words happened to carry it. Nerdy accounted for 2.5% of all ChatGPT responses, but it was responsible for 66.7% of all goblin mentions. 2.5% of the traffic, 2/3 of the goblins. That is not a trend. That is a single feature leaking. But the users who never selected nerdy were also getting goblins. OpenAI checked how often goblins showed up during training with and without the nerdy prompt. As goblin usage went up under nerdy, it went up by almost the same relative proportion outside nerdy. The behaviour did not stay in its lane. And that makes sense if you remember what post-training does. There is no clean partition inside the model labelled nerdy only. The weights are shared. If creature metaphors get rewarded in one context, that preference can bleed into every context. Then it compounds. OpenAI lays out the loop. Playful style gets rewarded. Some rewarded outputs contain a creature word. Those outputs show up more often. They get used as training data for the next round. Now the creature words are not just a quirk, they are examples of what good answers look like. The habit trains itself. As AI researcher Ely Badkush pointed out on Twitter, this is how biases from previous generation models get amplified. When their outputs become training data for the next one, the quirks compound. Some people have called it inbreeding. They expanded the investigation beyond goblins. Raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons all showed the same pattern. Frogs mostly got cleared as legitimate. Which is a ridiculous sentence. Well, I'm sure they had a reason. What did OpenAI do once they made the connection? They retired the nerdy personality almost right away, mid-March, right after GPT 5.4 launched. Then, as they figured out the deeper mechanism, they removed the reward signal that was favouring creature words and filtered creature words out of their training data. But here is the catch. GPT 5.5 had already started training before they found the root cause. Nerdy was gone, but the deeper fixes came too late to save it. So GPT 5.5 came out of the oven with more goblins than GPT 5.4, even though Nerdy was never offered as a personality option in 5.5. Adding that feature was easy. A personality dropdown, a system prompt, a reward signal. Ship the fun option. Maybe users like it. Maybe engagement ticks up. It is just style. But once that style goes through post-training, it is not a UI widget anymore. It has touched the model weights. It has touched generated data. It has touched future training runs. And now, removing the feature does not remove the behaviour. You are not deleting a button. You are cleaning dye out of plumbing. And then look at Codex. Codex is OpenAI's coding agent, a professional tool, something you point at real code bases. But because GPT 5.5 still carried the creature habit, OpenAI added a line to the Codex system prompt. Never talk about goblins, gremlins, raccoons, trolls, ogres, pigeons, or other animals or creatures unless it is absolutely and unambiguously relevant to the user's query. If you have seen my video on Claude's system prompt, you know this pattern. Something unwanted shows up, and the fix is another line in the instruction stack. Do not do X, avoid Y, never mention Z. It works, but it is tape on a hose. Think about how you fix a normal program. Something weird happens, you debug it, you find the root cause, you fix it. With AI, the fix is, please do not do that. You can't open the model up and surgically remove a behaviour. You can only add instructions and hope. So here is where we are. OpenAI is building what they say are the most capable AI systems in the world. Billion-dollar training runs, models that can reason through research-level problems, and a style picker, a personality dropdown, baked goblins into the model so deep that removing the feature did not remove the behaviour. They had to filter the training data, remove the reward signal, retire the personality, and then write "never talk about goblins" in another product system prompt. This is pretty hilarious. It is also a real look at how tangled these systems are underneath. Product features feed into training signals shape model behaviour becomes the next round of training data. And when something goes wrong in that loop, you do not get to undo just one piece. Everything is connected. A personality toggle can contaminate a coding agent. If you want the full details, OpenAI's blog post is the best place to go. It walks through the whole investigation. And again, it is pretty cool that they published this at all. They could have quietly patched it and moved on. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.